Yeah, it's a great industry to be in, but also very tiring.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. Yes.
So Mrigangshi ma'am, can we start now? Mrigangshi ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, maybe begin. We still have time. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. With ma'am's kind permission, Monica ma'am's kind permission is there.
Sir, we had given 4 o'clock, Divakar. Can we wait for a minute or two?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The time.
Over, ma'am.
Thank you, Mriganshi. And it's my pleasure to welcome today's expert who has come to address the students on the challenges for fresh graduates. Miss Shalini Fernandez, who herself is an advocate and has got experience of working in the courts and in multinational corporations in Malaysia, and she has also got her law degree from University of London and University of New England, New South Wales. So she's got a vast arena of experience of how challenges are there and how students who are studying law, how they can make a career for themselves in the legal profession. So it's a pleasure for me to welcome Ms. Shalini to ICFI Law School and ICFI University, Dehradun for this lecture. I'm sure that in the coming days, we will have the benefit of her association with ICFI, and we look forward to giving good input to our students, because ICFI Law School has always had the objective of delivering to the students what is required to make them more employable, in terms of giving them good input of the subject knowledge, but together with this, how they can make a career in the legal profession, how they can succeed and see where their best can be put to effect in order for them to become good and professionally excel in their field. We need to give inputs regarding national and international perspectives. So with this objective in mind, we have also created the various centers of excellence in cyber law, human rights, environmental law, ADR, and some other branches, the objective of which is to explore the research area and also to see how students can work in these fields which are very upcoming and in which the students can gain immensely, because they are going to be the future of the legal profession, especially cyber law, environmental law, and ADR. So with this perspective in mind and with the objective of gaining excellence, we established the centers, and thanks to the efforts of our faculty and the management, which has come up with very good, strong curriculum, which helps to give the students inputs about latest subjects and also clinical courses which enhance their legal skills. So we have on our part tried to make the students well aware of the legal concepts, the theories, and also try to enhance their soft skills and professional skills like drafting and pleading, moot court, and other aspects like ADR, which are today becoming very important. So from this perspective, we've been able to achieve good ranking at national level, and various ranking agencies have ranked us among the top law colleges in India. And some of them have given us as the first or second rank in Uttarakhand among the law colleges in this state. And it's our constant endeavor to see that we are able to nurture talent and we are able to bring in the best in our students. And with this objective, the today's guest lecture also has been with this in mind, that we must have more exposure to international speakers who have worked in the legal field internationally, and what all avenues can be open to students from the law background in the national and international fields. So with this objective today, we have with us Miss Charlene Fernandez, who has been very kind enough to agreeing to address the students and telling them how they can make a better future for themselves in this field. So I welcome Shalini once again and thank you for being with us. So over to you, Mriganshi.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request placement coordinator, Mr. Divakar Das, sir, to please introduce our speaker for today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mriganshi ma'am. Respected Dean ma'am, Dr. Monica Kharola, dear colleagues, dear students, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to our today's international lecture. Let me introduce, it's an honor for me, in fact, to introduce our guest of the day, Ms. Shalini Fernandez, who graduated and did her law degree from University of London in the year 1999 and University of New South Wales in Australia, from Australia, and admitted as an advocate, admitted as an advocate and solicitor to the High Court of Malaya in 2002. With close to 19 years of experience, in 5 years of experience, she has practiced as a both in litigation and corporate work, with at least 14 years of experience as an in-house counsel for both local and multinational corporations. Named as Women Icon of the Year 2021 by Times Women member of the Indian Women History Museum, and featured in the third edition of an encyclopedia published by Britishpedia Media named as Successful People in Malaysia 2021, celebrating the accomplishment of Malaysians who have been excelled in their own field due to the contribution in the field of law. An advisory board member of Kartavyam, that is a Delhi-based NGO formed by lawyers to uplift the Indian society. She has been a senior legal counsel for global operations and manufacturing for Ansell for last 2 years, and as an Australian multinational corporation which manufactures protective industrial and medical gloves and PPE kit worldwide, which has been on the front line battling during COVID-19 pandemic and undertakes a legal role overseeing globally. Shalini ma'am is also a midst of the completing her final appears to get called as a solicitor to the Supreme Court of New South Wales, Australia by 2022. Ma'am, we welcome you. Today, ma'am will be delivering a lecture, specific lecture on the challenges for fresh law graduates, do's and don'ts. Ma'am, we welcome you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Divakar. First, let me express my heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Monica, Dr. Mriganshi and yourself, as well as the entire university for inviting me to do this lecture. And I apologize if my throat is not too, Mr. Divakar knows I'm not feeling too good, but I will endeavor to do this to the best of my abilities. So thank you once again for the introduction. Now, I know time is scarce, and I'd like to, engage as much as I can with all of you. So, and I can promise you, this is not going to be a very boring, sit back sort of a lecture. I'm going to make it as interactive as I can. So the first thing I'd like to say is, before I even dive into, we have slides, and I believe Mr. Divakar, if you could share it as I speak during the lecture.
Yes.
Is that possible? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, but before that, before I dive into that, I also want to, I will probably later during the last part of the lecture also reveal to you how, as a Malaysian stepping into the Indian markets, how that was for me. And, it was, when I look back, I feel it was almost surreal. So what I wanted to say, and I will share this with all our students here, is seriously, the sky is the limit. There is no such thing. Never limit yourself geographically. Never limit yourself to a particular industry. There's so much you can do, and that is exactly what I'm going to share with you today on what you can do to take yourself the next step to really make sure that you look back and say, I am so happy I got myself a law degree. And what besides that, not just by being a good lawyer, what can you also do in that position that you're in to give back to the society? Because it's not always about just being the best lawyer. It's about what you can do when you have reached that position. So without further ado, Mr. Divakar, if I could maybe delve into the slides. Thank you.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is. So challenges. Personally speaking, the word challenges is it is a very challenging industry, and I'm sure all of us know here today. I believe I'm addressing a group of undergraduates as well as law graduates here. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, and I'm sure all of you would have heard. So, dear attendees, at the end of this, I also like for us to have you ask me any question you wish. So I'm happy to take any questions. Now, the first and foremost thing that we always need to look for is we need to realize that we are in a pool of a huge community. Granted, the legal profession is an esteemed, very old profession, one that is looked up to so nobly. But at this day and age, it has become somewhat common. We see every other person seems to be doing a law degree. It's not bad, but the question is, what exactly are you doing with this law degree that is helping you get ahead of the rest of the pack, right? So competitiveness is very important. You should not do what everybody else is doing, okay? And I will give you a few illustrations on what I did. At least I think at least I can share my experiences. And so you need to always ask yourself, if you're looking at the group of people around you and you're wondering, how are my skill sets different from the person next to me? Then you need, if you're starting to ask yourself that questions, you need to in your mind already form some sort of a I suppose picture in your mind. What is your passion? What is your passion? Is it criminal law? Is it environmental law? It always starts with your passion, because you must do something that you're passionate about. Not because your parents told you, or maybe your parents told you to get a law degree. That's well and good, because they only meant the best for you. But move towards your passion and you can never go wrong. So that is tied very closely to point 3, which is clarity of mind. Clarity is very important. Every day I've got people coming up to me in LinkedIn, young lawyers across the globe asking me, they're saying, oh, it's so exciting to see your profile. We want to be foreign lawyers. So it's foreign lawyers is a very ambiguous term. You need to ask yourself, do you want to be in-house? Do you want to work with a law firm that does international work? I mean, what exactly do you want to do? Do you want to be based out of India whilst doing regional work without having to actually get called to the bar in all those jurisdictions in which you're doing, which is actually what I'm doing, because it's a bit illogical to get called in every jurisdiction. But there's a way in which you can still be a regional counsel or an international lawyer without being called. So there are many ways to go around it. So clarity, very important, and very important for all of us to know that never, ever, ever be complacent. Excuse me. Education is a mere stepping stone. It is what is going to get you through the first gate. What happens thereafter really falls on your shoulders. Of course, people can tell you, oh, you need the right connections. But I mean, I can safely tell you I didn't have any connections. All I had was my own determination to step into a new market. And I just went along with that. And along that, a lot of good people came my way that offered me such opportunities. So always remember, never be complacent. It's well and good that you've completed your law degree, but that is only your ticket into the battlefield, so to speak, So on that note, if you could kindly move to the next slide, Mr. Divakar. So I'm a Malaysian lawyer. I'm a trained Malaysian lawyer. And I understand that, you in India, you can either decide once you've attained your law degree, whether or not you want to either do your bar exams, or do you directly want to just use your law degree and get into either a local corporation or a multinational corporation. But I'd be happy to hear what you have to say as well. Like I said, let it be interactive. But as far as the Malaysian market is concerned, most multinationals always, more often than not, want a qualified lawyer, a lawyer that has been called to the bar. Given that, you know, we are to check the work of external counsels when we work with them. So we need to already have minimum 5 years, but these days, even 3 years is sufficient. So, you know, do your practical training, your chambering under the pupillage of a senior lawyer is what I would say. And if you want that ticket into an MNC, do your time, 2 to 3 years, pick up as many skills as you can. And that is where I believe you need to be a generalist at that point. You know, you need to pick up as many skills as you can, whether it's banking, law. So if you join a legal firm, you'll typically be doing litigation or corporate. So when I was chambering, I was able to do half of each. I chambered in quite a large firm in Malaysia, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's fantastic, because I've seen middle-sized firms and smaller firms wherein the pupils actually get to follow their master to court and, you know, do all these things and learn so much more. So it really depends, you know, who your master is. Do a lot of research before you even start your pupillage. It starts way back then. You know, ask yourself, like, I can tell you, I wanted to be a criminal lawyer. It was very idealistic because I was probably influenced by watching LA Law and a lot of criminal programs. Unfortunately, when I wanted to do that, I went door to door knocking on the top criminal lawyers in the country. And they all had one thing to tell me. They said, this, unfortunately or fortunately, is more predominantly a male sort of a thing, not because they are discriminating women, but the nature of the work entailed going to prisons and things like that. So I was very taken aback, and I was a little perturbed because I felt like this is what I wanted to do. So then I asked myself, okay, never mind, maybe I can move to something different. So I made sure I joined a firm where my master, and I made myself get assigned to a master who was doing issues like criminal breach of trust. So you see, it's still interlinked to criminal law, but at a different level. So, and I tried to get as much knowledge as I could from that area. And next slide, please. So as I just mentioned, you can join a law firm, get your requisite experience, learn all tricks of the trade, become a jack of all trades, because that is the basis that every lawyer needs to know. Till today, if somebody comes and asks me about family law, I know, because I've done it. You know, I've done divorce trials, contested, uncontested. Can you draw up a will? Now, the thing is, you may not be able to do everything, but if you're doing civil litigation, breach of contract, industrial law matters are also very looked at this point. And then decide, after becoming a generalist, you've got all these different sorts of fields in front of you. Certainly at that point, you will already know, okay, now I've got more inkling, or I'm more inclined to say industrial law, employment matters, or environmental, or something like that. And that would be your deciding path. Then you ask yourself, now, who is the leading, and this is probably after 2 years, right? So you are still very much marketable, because and don't just settle for one. You can always like 2 fields. Like for me, I'm not only trained as an ICT lawyer, I'm also in manufacturing. So when I handle issues like digital manufacturing, it's a merger of both. So you see, but all this honestly was not planned. I just followed my heart and saw what unfolded. So if at the very onset, you want to get international experience, you need to then join a firm. It doesn't matter. It can be a national law firm, international law firm, anywhere in India that can give you this level of experience, you know, where they do trans-border work, working, you know, across different areas, like parties who are in India, working with parties outside of India. And that will be your first step that you take on your international route. And this really can work even to put you to the path for relocation options. Obviously, with COVID and all this has been hampered, but I believe things will pick up very soon. So, you know, that is already your key, because if you decide to say, maybe you don't want to join an international firm, maybe you're happy doing pan-India work, you're doing, work in India, out of India itself, then join a firm that maybe is very good in IP, for instance. I've got many fellow Indian lawyer friends, very good friends of mine, who are the key IP leaders in India. And then after that, the firm branches out and starts doing international work. And so really ask yourself these questions. These are the questions you need to start asking yourself. And because time is so scarce, and if you're not doing it, then somebody else is already doing it and they're already on that path. Like I mentioned earlier, try your level best to do something which the others are not doing. Obviously, this has to be a marketable field. I love animal rights. I get involved in animal rights, but I know that's honestly not going to put food on my table, but that's something that I do on the side, using my skills as a lawyer. But ask yourself, what is the niche areas? I can safely tell you, digital manufacturing, given that I'm in manufacturing, it's no longer like how it used to be. Everything is now concerning robotics, AI, and so many things. It's come to that level. And I actually have the privilege of working globally with our global engineering team in putting up all these machines across all our plants in Ansell all over the world. So I really, and I'm somebody who really gets down to the specifics. I ask them, how does this work? If you push this button, what works? And so being a lawyer is not just about, oh, it's a contract. You need to understand, only if you understand the subject matter, you'll understand how best to protect whichever party, whether it's your client or the company that you're working for. So when you find that you're doing these things, life gets so much more interesting. It's not just legal and legal. You interact with so many stakeholders. You learn so much. And that is what is going to put you on the map to being a good lawyer. Because most lawyers I've seen, and I'll be honest with you, they sit in their ivory towers. They just say that I'm a lawyer, and they have they cannot bring themselves down to the ground level to understand what is the subject matter at hand. It is very hard for them. But if you start doing that from a young age, you will see that, and let me tell you, once you've got that basics set straight, you can step into any industry you want to in the world, any industry, because you'll already garner that subject matter, and tomorrow if somebody says, okay, you are from manufacturing, how do I give you an opportunity in pharmaceuticals? You can just tell them what I told them. When I made the change from manufacturing, I had a boss who was kind enough to interview me, to give me a role in a French multinational called Atos, an information communications and technology company. All the other candidates, my other legal teammates, were all from HP, from Dell, and all these other IT companies. I came from an Australian company called BlueScope, BHP Steel. So I had zero experience. What did I do? The very fact that, and you know what he told me, and I will share all this with you. I'm not looking for a superstar. He said, I'm looking for someone with the right attitude, who wants to learn, who can bring the team together. And it really doesn't matter which industry you come from. If you have the right attitude, we'll be happy to train you, but you need to put in a lot of long hours in the beginning of your job to understand. And that is exactly what I did. I got my head around contracts, which were ICT, which was so foreign to me. I spent my time knocking on everyone's door, from all the heads of IT and things like that, asking them how each of, and it really helped, because I then went on to support Australia and New Zealand. And remember, I'm a Malaysian qualified lawyer. I'm not even trained in Australian law, and then the contracts in Oman, for instance. But what was the silver thread that ran through all these contracts was the fact that substance and subject matter are always the same. If you really need help, reach out to an external counsel who can then assist you on just those pieces that you're not afraid, you're not sure of. Other than that, it's about the same, and you'll be able to garner it and understand it better. So, like I mentioned again, something that others are not doing. Networking is something which is so important. I don't know how to overemphasize this. I had a very good friend of mine who was the former general counsel of Snapdeal. He made a change to Malaysia, and an Indian lawyer stepping into Malaysia. And I remember him telling me this. When I told him I wanted to move towards India, because the Malaysian market was so saturated that I could only do so much. And he told me the first thing you need to do is beef up your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you are searchable. If someone is looking for someone, let's say in the IT industry, your header needs to say IT or something. So when they click on that search engine, you are searchable. Do not be ambiguous, because you want people to search you. You want people to say, oh, this person has got experience here and there, and stand out. In fact, I even invest in a small premium amount to have a premium LinkedIn, because, and it is not because I'm benefiting from a job. I interact with the recruiters, with people from, you know, all different walks of life, because you never know whether you can help them or they can help you in some way. So networking is very important, and I have found that LinkedIn is one of the most effective tools. In fact, I believe that is where I met Mr. Divakar as well. That's where he found me. So you see, so it's interesting, you know, and the sky is the limit. It's an international platform where people can meet and put your profile there. It doesn't matter if you've only done 2 or 3 things. What have you done in law school? Like I was the president of the Mood Society. I made sure I wrote it there. You know, first year law, student body council, what I did in school, was I a debater? All this counts. And then you will find the person who's looking for the right fit will find you there. Employers will come looking for you. You can look for them, but the nicest feeling in the world is if they come knocking at your door. It may take a while, but it can happen, I assure you. Find a mentor. I had a very good mentor when I started off. They were senior lawyers, and I learned so much from them. At that point, I really thought they were slave drivers. I detested staying back till 11 at night. But they were so meticulous in their work. And in fact, before trials, right, they're all trial lawyers, right? So before we stepped into a courtroom, we had to do a moot court trial within the office, not once, but twice or thrice, until everybody, and we played devil's advocate. We'll ask each other questions so that we had a foolproof formula when we actually stepped into courts. Very painful, but today I can look back and tell you, I'm glad I did all that, because it helped me set the pace to be ahead, right? And like I mentioned, the last point is be searchable. So I won't repeat that. So so always be in an area where people are able to find you. Never become ambiguous. Yeah. So with that, if you could move to the next slide. And as I mentioned, those were do's, right? Don't follow the herd. I always found myself walking in the opposite directions, because, and I'm looking forward to share with you my experience, which is the last slot, and I'll tell you exactly what I did. So I went right in the opposite direction, and many people thought I had lost my mind. So, and I knew that what I was doing was I had a plan, and I knew that if I followed the plan carefully, there's no way I would fail. So following the herd is not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes you need to take a step back and ask yourself, how can you differentiate yourself? And like I said, don't just limit yourself to generic areas of practice. We have scores of lawyers who are all a jack of all trades. Nothing wrong, but at some point, and I can tell you that because today when people request for help, or sorry, when they want to recruit, recruiters approach me, and I can tell you there are very, very few people who are either in a certain fields. So that becomes your niche market, whether it's oil and gas, construction, whatever. So like I said, pick up all these skills when you are at a law firm. Pick up all these, you should be able to tell yourself, at least I did banking, at least I did, construction, a little bit of everything. And then you are able to dive into it. So, and never, ever, ever do the bare minimal. That is not going to get you anywhere in life. I've noticed many lawyers have reached a stage, and I can tell you lawyers of 20, even 30 years, they've reached that stage of very complacency. They feel it's okay, I'm fine. And if you do the bare minimal, that's perfectly fine. But what you're going to get in return is also a very bare minimal of things. So it's always, it goes hand in hand, right? And again, that is up to you. Never also think that success in your law degree will actually be equated to your success as a lawyer. Because I know many students who, and please don't get me wrong, those who have excelled in your law degree, well and good for you. I mean, you know, if you got your first class honors, second class upper, I mean, the program that I did, University of London, was like that. We had a number of, I wasn't a first class student. I wasn't even a second class upper. I was a few points short of being a second class upper, but I was a second class lower. But what does that tell you? It just tells you that it is just, it's still second class. And I know people who are even third class. I can tell you there's a very senior lawyer in Malaysia. He too is of Indian origin, Mr. Karpal Singh, the late Mr. Karpal Singh. After this talk, if you can, Google him and you will see how amazing he was as a lawyer. He was not a man who just stood for his principles. Even as a child, the first time when I wanted to be a lawyer, I looked at him and I was 5 or 6 and I said, I want to be like Karpal Singh. And unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago in a road accident. He was traveling to a trial from Penang to Kuala Lumpur and he died. He was also a very successful politician, a wonderful human being that I had the privilege of meeting. So do Google him after this, because that is the man that made me want to become a lawyer. And there are many Karpal Singhs around. India has produced and is producing so many good lawyers. I have been privileged to be I can tell you my idol was the Honorable Ramjat Malani. I was so depressed when he passed away, you know. I used to see him on Indian screens holding his whiskey glass and talking, but that's aside. That aside, he was a good lawyer. But you know, he knew his facts, and there's so many good lawyers in India. So you guys, you've got no reason to say that you're not able to access them. I know some lawyers are a little inaccessible, but I'm sure many are accessible. And I myself have got many good friends who are mid to senior lawyers in India. If you think you need assistance, you know, I can always put a word out. Like I said, I've got a great network of good friends and good lawyers and good people in India. So I'll be happy to do that as well. So never ever equate your success with what you get as a law degree. Don't let that deter you. The best lawyers do not necessarily have first-class law degrees. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, my favorite part. Okay, so my experience. So let me tell you what triggered within me in the year, I believe it was 2015, I joined Atos and I started traveling to Australia. I was living out of Australia, negotiating ICT contracts with the government of Australia, New Zealand and things like that. But somewhere within me, I felt like I'd already reached that level that I could reach in Malaysia. And I wanted to go to a place where it would challenge me further, a country which was an IT hub globally, and you know, and I knew that India was that place. So when I said this to my fellow friends and family, they said, you've lost it, because there's no way a Malaysian lawyer is going to step into the Indian market. Firstly, there's so many lawyers in India. My very good friends told me this: what is it that you have that we Indian lawyers don't have? I mean, they meant it in a good way, but they said, ask yourself, what is it that you have? But I asked myself and I said, never mind, that's not going to deter me. So what did I do? In 2016, I started reaching out to every single recruiter via LinkedIn and via all the job portals that I knew, Monster, you name it, everything in India. And I reached out to every single one of them through my friends. I had already had a good group of networking friends and all who were lawyers there. They helped me, but mostly it was me who reached out to every recruiter. And I used to even fly to India for interviews. They were quite puzzled as to why, you know, these foreign lawyers trying to step into the Indian markets. I went as far as HCL Technologies, and I was even the final 4 candidates for Amazon Web Services for a position in Delhi. Unfortunately, I didn't get the role because it went to an Indian lawyer who had worked with the Indian government before. But it was a fantastic experience because, you know, I was able to actually tell myself, hey, you know, you did 1 year of hard work and look where it's gotten you. Maybe you didn't get the job, but at least they called you up for an interview. You know, that's already a big thing. And finally, I remember I was actually vacationing with my friends. I was actually in Himachal Pradesh. I was in Shimla, and I get this call. The line was so bad. And on the other hand was this very, very good recruitment firm called Vahura. You can Google them, Vahura Consultants. They called me, they said, there is a role, and we think you might be a fit. And I was so surprised. I said, tell me more about it. They said an e-commerce company is actually looking for a lawyer. They are an Indian-based company. They are looking to set up operations in Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and all that. I had no idea what this company was. They said, if you're interested, this is an international assignment for 1 year. You will be with the team. They're based out of Bangalore, and we can take it from there. And I said, of course, I'm interested. So I said, please send me the details. And when they sent it across, I realized it was Ola Cabs. And they were looking for a lawyer who had worked in the Australian markets in ICT. Funnily enough, they couldn't find, I don't know whether they searched hard enough or whatever, it was my good luck, but they couldn't find an Indian lawyer who had done it. They just couldn't, who had worked and dealt with the Australian regulators like I did, Australian government and things like that. And they said, would you be interested in taking on this 1 year assignment? You need to move to Bangalore. And I said, you know what, I'm in. And within 2 weeks, I got my ticket to Melbourne. That was the first, and it was like you had to hit the ground running. It sounds very glamorous, but let me tell you, it was not, because Mr. Bhavish Agarwal, who I had the pleasure of meeting, who, as you know, is a co-owner of Ola, is a very intelligent man, and he sets very stringent timelines, ambitious ones, and we need to work backwards. So I got there, the legal team was there, I met them, and as you all know, Australia I don't know whether it's very much like India. It goes state by state. So there's so many states. For each and every state, there are separate laws, transport laws. So we actually had to apply to be an accredited, I suppose, rideshare provider. So many forms, meeting regulators. We started off from Victoria, then New South Wales, and like I mentioned, so many states. And then I flew to New Zealand because we were setting up there. And I flew there and I met the New Zealand regulators, and the whole process commenced. So, and the interesting thing about this was Indian laws, Australian laws, two different planets apart. And the app, the Ola app that we had, that was already working so well in India, was probably not that savvy for the Australian markets because they had different laws and regulations. So I had the opportunity to sit down and work with our engineering team, our software engineers, and everyone, to say, hey, this may go well in India. This goes against competition laws in Australia, guys. We need to take this off. And they have to then rework the app. So, needless to say, and then we had to set up payment gateway providers, meeting providers like Stripe, things like that. And with every step of the way, like I said, I got to meet another very senior person, Mr. Harish Abhichandani. They're all still people I look up to. He was the CFO of Ola. I learned so much from them. And, I can always say that if I did not work that hard, that 1 year, I always believe the universe gives you the same effort that you put in. And if I didn't do that, I'm sure it wouldn't have yielded this result. So what I'm trying to share with all of you today is there is never something that, when people tell you it's impossible, I will always say that I'm sorry, it doesn't exist in my dictionary. And all the more reason I'll go and do it to just show them that it's possible. So, never let anyone deter you. If you feel that you want to do something different, now that you all know me, you can always reach out to me, drop me a message on LinkedIn. It doesn't end with this call. I get requests every day from young lawyers who don't know me. And I always tell them, do this, do this, do this. People come and ask me, we want to be a foreign lawyer. Do we need to become, like for me, I'm doing my Australian law degree because I want to do it. I had other reasons. I didn't have to do it, although I'm in an Australian company, but let me tell you, when you do that, it again puts you higher on that, because after I complete this, I'll be the only Australian trained lawyer in my company. The rest are US trained, so it is very hard. I don't know certain days how I can actually finish my work, my assignments with my job. But when you reach the end of the road, you will realize that it's a very fulfilling feeling, there's no shortcuts, but there are always good people there who are willing to help you if you're willing to take the few steps yourself. But it comes down to you, really. What do you want to do in life, So, so those were actually pretty much the few things that I wanted to share. I don't know, Mr. Divakar, have I gone over time or do I still have time or?
No, ma'am, time is there.
Time, okay, how long do I have some more?
Ma'am, you can carry on because in fact, I am learning many things from you.
No, that is why I really wanted to share all this with you today, because and the people that you meet, right, when you step into all these frontiers and all these things are a very different kind of people, and after I came back, so I'll tell you what happened after that. I came back, and the reason I didn't stay on with Ola was they were looking for a lawyer who had basically done, I'm sorry, is the camera a little blurry or grainy?
No,
It's
ma'am, it's
not.
clear. It's
Okay,
clear.
okay, fine. So, and I'll tell you why I decided to do my Australian law degree. So I was very happy with Ola. They in fact wanted to even offer me a permanent position to be based out of Sydney. So at that point, I was going between Bangalore and Sydney and all. Unfortunately, I was not an Australian qualified lawyer, so I didn't get the job. So that, that was something that's, stuck in me for a while. I was thinking, so I didn't get the job not because I wasn't good enough, but I just wasn't qualified. So they gave it to someone else, who incidentally is a Malaysian who's now become an Australian PR. So I said, okay, I've had it with people telling me, sorry, we can't take you because you're not qualified. So I said, now I'm going to do my Australian law degree, and and that's it. So on that path, I started moving. I've completed my degree, and now I'm in the middle of doing my practical legal training, which is equivalent to the bar. But I'm looking to become a solicitor and not a barrister. So it's a separate profession there. So and it's not been easy, but it's a journey that I've no regrets. So like I said, when someone tells me no, this is not good enough, I always will say, then I'll make myself good enough. So and being competitive has always helped. But another thing I want to share is when you reach a certain position and when you feel that you've somewhat within you feel that you've succeeded in all the thresholds you've set for yourself, you must always remember to give back. Always remember to give back to society. Always remember to help, because if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for that boss of mine who gave me that opportunity to transition into that company that as a manufacturing lawyer, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have gone through all the journeys that I've gone through and be before you today. So always be open and always remember that, it doesn't matter how young you are, help each other as we can. I've got recruiters reaching out to me today, not because I get anything from them, but they ask me, can you connect me to a lawyer who maybe we are looking for a lawyer with this background? And somewhere I will know that there's a lawyer looking for it and I connect them. So it's always about doing that. And like Mr. Divakar mentioned, I'm also in this NGO called Kartavyam. So we do organize a lot of events, debates, so many things for law students and things like that, and a lot of animal rights work. I think that the last we had bought some gas cylinders during COVID because people were just struggling so much in India during that time. And I do the same even in Malaysia and wherever I can. So a lawyer doesn't necessarily mean, being in the Supreme Court, being in the limelight, giving interviews. It's more than all that. It's great if you have all that, but after a while you realize that what are you doing with where you've come? And you don't need to be a 10-year lawyer to know this. You can even start, because the lawyers that I work with in Kartavyam are a wonderful young group of people. They are so young, but they do so much without anything, in return. So I think that is what being a really good lawyer is to me. And as you move higher, whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's in the law firm, or you can use your law degree anywhere else, relationships with people at work, respect and all is very important. And another thing that I really want to highlight is work etiquettes as a lawyer. I've known many lawyers who've also gotten involved in embezzlement, and that's it. Your reputation is just down the drain. No matter how good you are as a lawyer, the moment you do that, you're finished. Nobody will even give you a second glance, because honesty and integrity go very hand in hand with our profession, more so than the other professions. So, and in Australia, for instance, We have a character accessibility test. Just because I've completed my bar doesn't get me into the legal profession. They will comb through even parking tickets. How many parking tickets? Did you get any parking tickets in 2018? You don't declare, you're finished. That's how stringent they are. It's not about thinking and remembering everything. If you cannot remember, just say I cannot, I may have it. Just tell the truth. So truth, ethics, and integrity are very important. How you handle your clients' money, trust accounts, things like that. So many, I've seen so many, poor people getting deceived by, and some of these lawyers have no conscience. They're just, okay, let's keep moving. So, what comes easy also goes away easily. So as you go through your life, all of you are very young. You're starting your journey now. Always remember that all these things count. As you get older, and they should always be a part of you as you go through life. So I think that was the other important point I also wanted to share. I'm happy to take questions from anyone because I believe I've been talking for a long time. So please feel free to ask me anything that you all wish to.
No, ma'am, your speech was so inspirational. In fact, during the lecture of what I am planning is, I am the representative of training and placement cell. So what I can offer to you is, can we enter into an MOU with your NGO so that, and the basic purpose will be academic intelligence, yeah, because students want directions, and the NGO and better platforms and, intelligent person and inspirational persons like you can definitely help the students and shape their future.
Certainly, I will, after this call, I'll certainly connect you to someone from Kartavyam, and I'm sure he'll be more than happy because he's always looking for young lawyers to continue with our cause. And, there's so much of work to be done, there's so much of work. Yeah, so certainly we'll connect after this, Divakar. I'll connect you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrigangshi, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayank. I just saw your comment. Thank you.
Mrigangshi, ma'am, over to you. I think she is, her network may be little weaker. Ashish Singhal, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now I welcome Dr. Ashish Singhal, sir, for closing remarks and vote of thanks. Sir, over to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. A very good evening to one and all present here. Thank you, such a knowledgeable session for all of us. We as the faculty, we as the student, we as the law professional, to Madam Chief Guest of today's International Special Guest Lecture. That is about the challenges for fresh law graduates, do's and don'ts. I will say about Madam Miss Shalini Fernandez. She is a law graduate from the University of London in 1999 and the University of New England, New South Wales, Australia in 2020. So firstly, a special thanks to ma'am. In addition, the thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Registrar Sir, Assistant Dean, ILS Mrs. Monica Kharola Madam, faculty members, all the students from ICFI Law School, the ICFI University, Dehradun, and the other colleges of India. I, Dr. A.K. Singhal, welcome all of you on behalf of the ICFI Law School, ICFI University. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you to all present here. On behalf of the ICFI Law School, the ICFI University, Dehradun, I extend a warm welcome to the pupil of gathering. I would like to express my gratitude to our honorable chief guest to take out time from her busy schedule to grace the international special guest lecture on challenges for fresh law graduates, do's and don'ts. Thank you. Thank you, madam, for inspiring us, encouraging us with your kind words. You have given us a brief about the challenges for fresh law graduates. You described us different aspects of law and the practice. When you remembered about the Ram Jethmalani, so I was also excited to hear from Malaysia, you recognized our senior lawyer, and he was a man of a great spirit. And he also, once upon a time, he came in our university around 6-7 years back. He came there, and he also told on several occasions that when I goes to the institutions, university there, so I enjoy the teaching, I enjoy the talking with the students, because I get the energy from those young mind, those young learners. So that was his spirit, and you recognize. So for that also, thank you. From Malaysia, you described us different aspects relating to the practice. You also shared your experiences with us relating to the practice, the real life, that is in terms of the honesty, integrity. You focused about those aspects. So we also acknowledge those things, and we also think that in future also we will be associated with you in terms of any any engagement. But we want your guidance in future also. And I also give a thanks to Mr. Divakar Das and Dr. Mriganshi Wilson, placement and internship manager and the faculty of law, for immense support and organization to make the international guest lecture a success. I must also thank to the entire team of the ICFI Law School, the faculty members, the students, for their working hard and to make this international great guest lecture a great success. Thank you everyone once again for making it a great learning session. Thank you, madam. Thank you once again for giving
you.
your valuable time. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish.
Mriganshi ma'am. Monica ma'am.
Shalini, thank you very much. We've got a very good idea of, your international experience, and the students, I'm sure now they'll be more bold to contact people and to explore better options. And I'm sure they'll come with many requests to get your contact, and also to, explore if you can help them to get a foothold somewhere. So it's been wonderful listening to you, and your experience, I'm sure, will help our students greatly. So we look forward to, hearing from you more. And in case you would like to take some guest lectures on current topics also, it will be wonderful on how students can prepare for those subjects, or for preparing to, get into those niche areas.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well. Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you. And thank you. I think Mr. Ravi has also sent a note on our chat. It was indeed a privilege for me to be here. Like I mentioned to Mr. Divakar, many years since I went to Uttarakhand, I only managed to go to Nainital and Binsar. I've never been to Dehradun, heard so much about it. Hopefully one day we will all be able
next time you should come to Dehradun then.
Certainly.
It's a pleasure to have you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And like whoever wishes to connect after this as well, I'm happy to, connect with our fellow students, anyone, if they have any follow-up questions, anything, I'm on LinkedIn, Shalini Fernandez, you can always reach out to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Are we taking any questions, Mr. Divakar, from anyone?
Mriganshi ma'am, do we have some, though ma'am has clarified all the things, but do we have any questions from the students' end?
I think we've lost Mriganshi. Her connection must have. Acha, she's in. Hello, Mriganshi.
Ma'am has already answered questions from the student side, whatever the questions they had asked regarding joining London University and how to be more focused on their career. So it was wonderful. Ma'am has taken up all the sides of the coin and discussed every issue. We look forward to more lectures from ma'am side and the MOU, of course.
Sure. Sure, Dr. Mriganshi, sure. I will connect with Mr. Divakar after
Yes,
this. on that,
sure, ma'am, sure,
for
ma'am.
sure.
And I guess there are no more questions. The chat box is open. If any one of you wishes to ask any question from ma'am. I guess there are no questions, ma'am. You have taken up on the topic very nicely.
Well, I'm happy I was able to address everything, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. And
Definitely.
thank you, and we'll certainly collaborate together in the near future. We will. Thank you again for having
Thank you,
me.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Divakar. Thank you, Swapnil. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Trisha, and whoever else who's thanking me after this. Like I said, let's connect soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Please
Bye.
allow me to end the session.
Please do, Divakar. Thank you.